They think they can let you go, ignore you, and push you aside, but they'll regret it forever. They just don't see it now. Have you ever been taken for granted, left behind without a second thought? When you're there, they don't appreciate you, but when you're gone, they'll realize the impact you had. Your absence will leave a void they can't fill, and that's when the regret will start. It's only a matter of time before they realize the mistake they made. Absence often speaks louder than presence ever could. When you're around, people may take you for granted, failing to recognize the value you bring. But once you're gone, the void you leave is undeniable. It's not just about being missed. It's the energy, the effort, and the uniqueness you brought to their lives that they can no longer find elsewhere. No matter how hard they try, nothing and no one can fill the space you left behind. They will finally see what they lost. People rarely understand the worth of something until it's no longer there. Your absence forces them to pause and reflect on their actions, the things they overlooked and the choices they made. They didn't know what they had until it was gone. And when that realization hits, it's going to hit hard. They'll question their behavior, their decisions, and wonder how they let you slip away. Before you leave, people often feel confident, even relieved, as if pushing you out of their life is a victory. They believe they can replace you, that they don't need you, and that they'll be just fine without you. There's a sense of superiority that comes with it, a false belief that your absence won't matter. They think they're better off without you, but what they don't see is the damage they're doing to themselves. Someone might decide they don't need you around anymore, dismissing you as unimportant. They think it's the right choice, but what they don't realize is they're setting themselves up for regret. They don't understand the value of what they had until it's too late. And by the time they realize their mistake, you're already gone and the damage is done. Once you're gone, everything begins to shift. The balance that once existed starts to crumble, and the consequences of their actions catch up with them. What they took for granted starts to fade, and the things they thought would remain unchanged begin to unravel. Whether it's a friendship that once thrived, a project losing momentum, or someone else trying to take your place but failing to capture the essence of what you brought, nothing will ever truly replace the impact you had. As the days go by, they'll begin to notice that the void you left isn't something they can easily fill. Seems better, seems right. We start to feel awkward. Their new routines will feel incomplete, and they'll realize how much they relied on your presence, your contributions, and the unique energy you brought into their lives. It's when they start to notice the cracks that the truth hits them. Your absence isn't just physical, it's emotional. They'll find their minds constantly drifting back to the moments when you were there, the way you made things easier, how you supported them, and the way your energy brought life into their world. An empirically grateful world that loves you. Slowly but surely, they'll realize that your absence isn't something they can ignore. It's a void they will never fully fill. The regret won't hit them all at once. At first, they might brush it off, thinking they're better off. But over time, that regret will begin to grow, slowly, like a fire that never goes out. Every time they encounter something you used to do, every time they see someone else filling the role you once held, it will sting. They'll notice how your absence has left a gap, how things just don't feel the same without you. At first, they might try to replace you, but they'll soon realize that no one else can fill your shoes. No one can match the trust, loyalty, or understanding you offered. They will come to understand that replacing you isn't just impossible. It's a loss they'll never truly recover from. The true weight of their mistake becomes undeniable when they can no longer turn to you for advice, support, or companionship. In the quiet moments when they need someone to talk to or lean on, they'll realize they can't. They'll search for someone like you, but the truth will hit them hard. No one can compare to you. You weren't just another person in their life. You were someone who made a real impact. And now that you're gone, they'll have to live with the realization that they lost something irreplaceable. You can't just replace someone who truly mattered. Without you, they'll face an emotional gap they can't fill. No amount of distractions, no new faces will be enough to replace the hole you left behind. They'll try to move on, but their mind will constantly wander back to the moments they took for granted. The laughs, the support, the way you always had their back. Each memory will hit them harder, a reminder of how deeply they underestimated your value. They'll find themselves asking, why didn't I appreciate them more? The more they try to replace you, the more they'll feel the weight of that loss. No one else can make them feel the way you did, and it will gnaw at them, silently reminding them that they let something irreplaceable slip through their fingers. One day, they'll remember a specific moment you shared, a conversation, a gesture, a quiet act of kindness, and it will hit them like a wave. The realization will crash over them. They've lost something irreplaceable. What they took for granted is now gone, and no one can ever bring that back. Their actions have led to a permanent gap in their life, and no matter how hard they try to move forward, they will always carry the weight of that loss. Because what they tried, the pieces of themselves, got taken from them, not given from them. They may try, but no one will ever bring what you did. You weren't just another person in their life. You were the one who added depth, meaning, and authenticity. Your sense of humor, loyalty, and ability to understand people in a way that made them feel heard. These are qualities that can't be replicated. Your work ethic, the way you approached challenges, your energy, and the way you lifted those around you made you irreplaceable. Share your worthiness, share your energy, and the way you lifted those around you made you irreplaceable. They might find others who seem similar, but none will ever be able to capture what made you, you. They'll try to replace you, seeking someone who can fill the gap you left, but it will be a futile effort. They'll look, they'll try, but in the end, they'll realize no one will ever bring the same impact you had. The hole you left in their life isn't just about your physical presence. It's about the lasting influence you had on their thoughts, their actions, and the emotional space you filled. The more they search, the more they'll understand. No one can ever truly replace someone who made a real difference. Their regret will become a shadow that never leaves them. It won't be something they can forget or easily move past. Every time they try to make progress, reach a new milestone, or face a challenge, the absence of your support will haunt them. In their quiet moments, they'll hear your voice, feel the space you once filled, and realize how much they took you for granted. The bitterness will settle in, eating away at them, reminding them constantly of what they lost. A loss they can never undo. Some mistakes are too deep to fix. The bridge between you and them can't be rebuilt once you've walked away and decided never to return. No apology will truly erase what's been done. They may try to apologize, but the truth is, the damage is permanent. The weight of your absence will be something they carry with them every day, a reminder of their actions and the person they lost. That weight will never get lighter. It's something they will have to live with forever. Your absence is not a consequence of being pushed away, but a deliberate choice. You choose to walk away because you recognize your worth. When people fail to value you, you don't beg for a place in their lives. Instead, you take your time, energy, and presence elsewhere. Leaving isn't just walking away, it's reclaiming your power. You understand that by withdrawing, you create space for something better. When you create space for something better, refuse to stay in places where you're not appreciated. And that decision is rooted in self-respect and strength. You are not here to be a background character in someone else's narrative. Your presence is not something to be taken for granted. You choose when and where to show up, and when you walk away, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a declaration that you deserve more. You won't settle for less than your worth. And when you leave, it's because you know exactly what you bring to the table. Your absence will stay with them, embedded deep in their memory. They will regret their actions no matter how hard they try to move on. Even as they search for someone else to fill the void, they'll never find what they lost. The realization will sting every time they reflect on their mistake, but by then you'll be long gone, living your life without them. They'll never find someone like you, and every time they realize that, it'll remind them of their mistake. And you'll be long gone, living your life without them. If you've experienced this, you know what I'm talking about. If you've walked away, don't look back. They'll regret it forever. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with anyone who needs to hear the truth about the power of your absence.